The American people deserve an impeachment of Joe Biden.
Welcome to Doug in Exile. I'm Doug. Yeah, we just hit 190,000 subscribers. You know what's coming next. You all know. Do your part. Thank you. Impeaching Biden has suddenly blown up in his face. Like, this is no longer a long shot. This is no longer out of the news. Let me show you the progression of news headlines suddenly. Republican calls to impeach Biden grow following release of FBI document detailing bribery allegations. McCarthy makes most direct impeachment threat against Biden to date. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy floats an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. That's the Associated Press. Here's the Hill, the risks and prospects of impeaching Joe Biden. House Republicans line up behind McCarthy in the Biden impeachment seesaw. This is suddenly becoming a reality. Here's some details.
Well, I mean, the American people would like to see some action from you and your colleagues, frankly, Congressman. How much more evidence do you need to start this inquiry?
Well, for me, it's go time. I mean, this is one of those situations where the evidence is overwhelming. And the other problem is the media is driving the narrative. It's Trump, 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 all day Trump.
This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him.
The news right now is trying to drive this. It's Trump's indictments versus Biden's impeachment.
If you and I did a fraction of the things that Joe Biden and his family had done and are doing, you and I both would be in prison.
Here's Byron Donalds making the three main points of impeachment against Biden. Here's number one.
Because I do believe that we have grounds for that inquiry. You have a president who's been pushing this Green New Deal agenda we talked about a little bit earlier. He's been pushing that. But what nobody ever told the American people is that his son facilitated the sale of a cobalt mine for a Chinese company in Africa. Hunter Biden did that. The New York Times has reported that. So if Hunter Biden's facilitating the sale of a mineral critical to solar panels, and President Biden is pushing a massive agenda for us to get and use and buy solar panels, does anybody think there's not a conflict of interest?
I just want to point out real quick that Hunter Biden has no expertise or background in minerals, in doing business with Africa, in mines and solar panels and things like that. And yet here he is on this board because they're not buying his expertise in cobalt mining. They're buying his access to his father. Here's point number two.
The Burisma executives told the FBI's, or they told the FBI's confidential human source that the Bidens got $10 million from Burisma. $10 million, right? And then months later, Joe Biden is telling Ukrainian officials in his capacity as vice president that he's going to withhold loans and make sure loans do not go to Ukraine if they keep the prosecutor looking into Burisma. That is public corruption. That's pay for play. The Democrats went after Donald Trump because he talked to Vladimir Zelensky about this issue. Joe Biden actually did the issue.
Never in American politics does a vice president, this is Biden under Obama as vice president, is calling a Ukrainian company like Burisma and saying, telling a government what to do. When does a vice president call another government and tell them what to do? Only in this instance, because his son is on the board. See what I mean? He's protecting all of his interests overseas. This is so weird, and it's starting to reveal the fingerprints all over what is going to be impeachable. Here's the third reason by Donalds out of Florida.
I do believe that the White House, through Merrick Garland, have obstructed justice by stonewalling and covering up these investigations into Hunter Biden. And if we can prove that, then I believe not only do you have impeachment of Joe Biden, but you have impeachment of Merrick Garland as well.
Yes, they're coming for you too, Merrick Garland. It's harder to find the evidence against Garland than it is against Biden, though. So Biden is the easier one to take out.
When we get back in September, if there's not a clear path and a clear timeline for impeachment, my articles are written in such a way that it can be offered as a privileged motion. I'm going to pull the trigger on that, and we're going to move forward.
These are different congressmen setting up different ways of impeaching Biden. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene also entering articles of impeachment for Joe Biden for 2 years now. But now it's getting more mainstream. Mainstream media is starting to pick it up. Impeachment is coming. I'm Doug in Exile. Thank you for subscribing.